Welcome to the Teaching Bites podcast. Here are your hosts, Fred and Sharon Jaravada.
Hey everyone, welcome back to our show. On this episode, we're going to be talking about how was it team teaching as husband and wife. So this summer, 2016, we first time in our as long as we've known each other, we team taught together at a summer program that our very good friends, founded this year. Their company, their school is called Take One Academy, and we were in charge of the STEM part. There was a music part, and also a sports part. Mm-hmm. And so Sharon and I, we were tasked to design and implement a STEM program. And what else, Sharon?
So we just they had us write the curriculum, and there were thematic weeks, and Fred decided let's use design thinking as a frame for these themes. And to me, I've always heard about it from him, and he tells me about it. But writing the curriculum with him was really eye-opening, and I got to figure out how it works. So week one, we could just quickly go over themes. Was like movie blockbusters.
Theme, which we decided on Star Wars.
Right, and then we decided for the kids to make lightsabers using the Little Bit circuit kits. Mm-hmm. And
and then week two.
Week two was world travel, right? So we used LED bulbs and watch batteries we talk about circuits. And
create light boxes that's dark. So the theme was about the Olympics happening this year, 2016, and that a lot of the countries represented are coming from developing countries, right? And a lot of the developing countries, they don't have light, they don't have energy reaching into their to a lot of people out there. I was watching a video by Bill Gates, and I was inspired by him. He talks about the lack of energy is one of the biggest reasons, or electricity to the developing world is one of the reasons why these developing world cannot progress. Right. Mm-hmm. Also, there was a video about the Philippines, and they designed some ingenuity. Some kids there, they designed light to come into their shanty homes. So it's like a really very poor part of the country. And they design where light can come in by cutting a hole on the roof, a tin roof, and insert water bottles with water and I think some chlorine and some kind of chemical in there that's widely available, and then they close it up, and then the sun shines through the bottle and illuminates the room.
Right, but one thing you forgot is that there's a solar panel or solar cell on the top that is charged in the daytime, so that at night it's able to illuminate the room.
Right. Mm-hmm. So we were inspired by that. And week three was
Olympics, since Olympics is starting this week. In Rio, right? So we thought we would design some shoes. And what's cool thing about that is that I have no idea how to do that. I mean, we used design thinking again for the process. So I reached out to my former student, his parent, her name is Carrie, and she's a shoe design professor at the Academy of Art in San Francisco. So I reached out to her and said, hey, I had to read the curriculum lesson plan. How can I fit that into what you do? So she showed me how the kids can decide on a design,
using a special wooden...
Using a shoe last to like put the tape on and cut it off and make a template.
So shoe last is a wooden...
Yeah, shoe last is a wooden shoe mold so that professionals use to design a shoe.
Interesting. And then you tape it up and then they peel it off, right?
Yeah, and I learned through a lot of YouTube videos of how to do this. But then the kids were tasked to design this in a group, and then put the materials on. But what is it for? Because kids in developing countries too don't have shoes to wear, and so the empathy part about how do we design shoes for kids that don't have shoes,
right?
And kids are like, oh, we don't need anything fancy. We need anything functional and comfortable and tough and,
Resilient.
Yeah. So that was really cool.
So we got to give a shout out to Ed and Connie Soriano. They're one of my best friends. I went to college with Ed, and he and his wife Connie, they founded they have a sports camp going on like all year, soccer, baseball, those seasons. But they also this summer they founded a Take One Academy, where like we said earlier, that include academics of STEM and music. Now we did the STEM part. Stan Muncy, Connie's brother-in-law, Ed's brother-in-law, he was in charge of the STEM, the music part, and he's incredible to watch because we found out that Stan, he plays for the SF San Francisco Symphony.
Yeah, and he actually wrote the music for it, and the kids actually participated in percussion.
World music,
yeah.
Right? For the world theme.
Right, so they played triangles to drum pads to tambourines,
right.
And it was just a very well-rounded camp.
Yeah, so it starts with the music, and then it moves on to the sports part, and then the STEM. We finish up with STEM, and then they'll have free time to do other things. But we also want to give shout out to three amazing people that took over. Sharon and I, we live in San Francisco, and the program was happening in the East Bay, in Hayward, and also in Dublin. It's about 30 to 40 miles away from where we live, and we couldn't make that drive every day with two young kids. So we went there on 3 times a week. We actually missed the first week because I was still working.
Yeah.
The second week and third week, we went Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But we were lucky. Ed was very good to find 3 people: Coach Keith, Coach John, and Coach Brandy. These coaches are up and coming.
They're the prospective teachers.
They're prospective teachers. They are either finishing up their master's program or they're just entering their credential program.
Or finishing their
bachelor's,
college.
Right.
Yeah.
But they're very interested in learning how to teach.
Yeah, and what's cool is that they were very flexible. They were, from one moment they could be coaching, another moment they were doing STEM with us. And so they really learned a lot from all the disciplines and able to really figure out, wow, what is this, and they really
learn the trade of teaching, the art
and
science of teaching, right? They get to see how to manage. We introduce management behavioral strategies, like
routines,
the routines, call and responses, how to line up in a line, silent lunches during silent 10 minutes of lunch, the first 10 minutes of lunch, so they can actually eat their food. How to clean up and all that stuff that us teachers do every day.
Yeah, all the background stuff, like what was it? Choice time. What does that look like? It's all the expectations.
Right.
And so
we were able to help guide their teaching, and they pulled it off. Those days we couldn't be there, they actually pulled it off. So we would introduce the lessons on a Monday, and then they would pull it off on Tuesday. They would send us pictures. We communicate by Slack, which is a great tool for communication. And we're interested. Being the first time directors of this program, we're very worried, but we also had confidence. That these lessons these projects were easy to do.
Yeah, and it was amazing because I think we gave them not the full instructions on how to do everything. We kind of gave them the basics, and they ran with it because they understood the concepts of the 4 C's, design thinking, which we'll get to.
The 4 C's of 21st century skills, right?
Right.
So, okay, let's go now to how is it working team teaching with Sharon. Okay, from my perspective, I'm more I come from the computers lab / now transform into the makerspace studio that we have in our school, and my style of teaching has evolved also with that, where I've incorporated a lot of inquiry-based questions, inquiry-based projects, where I don't give my students all the answers. I don't front load them like that. I introduce something like a problem. Like I would show up the first project I did. I showed a picture, right, and then something, and then I would leave it up there, and I would have them ask questions about it. They're just asking questions. Now, of course, there'll be surface or shallow questions at first, but as they keep going, you'll notice that they do dive in deeper. Like in the case of the shoe project with Sharon, I showed a picture, or I think you did that.
I showed 3 pictures of kids with no
Right.
shoes.
But so you got that in your third. But in the second one was the light project, and I showed kids studying, around the world, studying. They're huddled around a small lantern at night, or they're studying in the street where the lights are at, but not inside their homes. And I just left those pictures up there, and the kids started generating questions. I asked them, "Give me some questions about these pictures." And then one of them realized that the kids didn't have, where they were living, didn't have any electricity. So I took that and I'm like, okay, that's what we're going to do. We're going to try to design something that can bring electricity to these kids.
And I give them a purpose for the project and a motivation.
Right. And then my style is also to give them a tool. In this case, I was giving them a LED bulb, small LED bulb, electronic bulb. And then I would tell them, light it up. I wouldn't even give them the battery. I hid the battery. I didn't even give the battery yet. And they're trying to figure it out. It took them about 3-4 minutes. It was perfect. They're trying to figure it out. Every kid, there was about 10, around 10 kids every day or so, give or take. I gave them each a battery, and I told them, light it up. Talk to your friends. Talk to your teacher, your classmates. Figure out how to light it up. So that's my style of teaching. Now, when Sharon introduced her lesson, let me back it up. So when we did that, it was interesting how I introduced the lesson, and then Sharon would take part of the lesson and she would go deeper, right? However, what's weird is that I'm usually helping teachers do this in my school also when I can. But with Sharon, I'm like, whoa, I'm looking at her. I'm like, wait a minute, you're teaching
You're next to me.
And I'm trying to work with your style of teaching, a little more traditional, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to question you in front of everyone else,
Right.
right? But I'm just this way. We always talk to the side, which is great. But it was a big learning curve for myself because, I'm trying to get you into this process and trying to support you in what your expectations are, right? What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, I would say even starting before that, writing the curriculum. That was something that was very different for me, right? Because we don't write lesson plans anymore as teachers. We know in our head.
You don't? Aren't you supposed to?
Not like that. Like we did every step.
Okay.
So I had to get my head around that, right? And then watching you do it, I'm like, oh, cool. So this was to me like a PD for me, a professional development, because I like I said, I've always heard of it from you. I've always read about it, and now I see in action. And that's not what I do. It's totally not. So I was learning on the go, right? And I think we did a good job kind of flowing with each other. We did a good flow,
yeah.
But like you said, it was kind of weird. Like, you're like next to me and...
Oh, by the way, we had our kids participate in this class. Okay, our 6-year-old, he can sit down with the kids. These are our third grade, incoming third grade.
And second
grade. Our son is incoming first grade. So our son, he can do that, our eldest. However, we have a 3-year-old running around us.
Yeah. I know, hanging on my leg. Don't forget.
Right? So he was hanging around with us. So we had to manage him, teach the lesson, and have the kids, have them ask a lot of great questions. And me and Sharon are trying to figure out our styles
Very
together.
meta.
It was just kind of weird. Like, okay.
I know, but it was fun though. I mean, I'd say like I said, watching you, I got used to the big picture of how to ask the good questions.
What do you think about that?
I think it's exciting. I think I could, you could apply that to anything in your teaching.
So what I'm doing is actually valid, or it actually can work. You think it can? Probably can't work in every.
Not everything. I think if you do that with everything you teach, it's kind of probably
exhausting.
Takes too long.
Right.
But I think if you
certain projects
refine the ones that are really like motivating for your kids, you know your kids the best, right? Teachers, so which ones would stand out the most? And of course, the science stuff.
Right.
the hands-on.
It's the
math.
it's not front loading them with all the definitions and the excuse me, the schematic, but this bulb looks like what's inside, how it works.
All the
I'm not going to
technicalities,
show them how
yeah.
electricity works.
No,
Let's just light it up.
let them figure it out. Yeah. So, I mean, and then, once we taught it together, I think you had reminders like, Sharon, they should be getting up. I'm like, oh yeah, because you're big on movement,
right?
Like in your makerspace, you have flexible classroom and moving everything on wheels. So I'm not used to that. I'm kind of got ideas from you, like they have moving to different spots, but more active. And I noticed that you took the kids out to a different room to teach them. So I took that idea from a shoe week, and that was great.
Why do you think that worked?
I think because they got to move, and they know this is the table to do small, quick instruction.
Like demo, right?
Yeah, and then go back there. That's the time you do the dirty work with your group. So it's just it's an environmental change, and that even going outside.
Well, we couldn't go outside. It was way too hot.
Yeah,
back
but
then.
I mean, I'm thinking in the regular school year.
Our summers in
take
San
it
Francisco,
outside.
by the
I know.
way, our summers in San Francisco is about 58 to 63, maybe, and we
Foggy.
were at foggy and East Bay. Oh my God, it was about 90, 85 to 90, 93. We're dying.
And then our kids,
I'm a
they
San
would wear
Francisco-
pants every day.
They're San Francisco boys. They don't realize. They don't realize that. Hey, it's hot.
And we told them for 3 weeks, and they don't listen.
They're
Oh, well,
born
too
in
bad.
San Francisco, and they were just, I'm wearing jeans or pants.
But then I'm really happy that none of us got sick, knock on wood, because that's a big temperature change, like
Right.
30 degrees.
So that was interesting
Yeah.
experiment and experience, that teaching with you. That's just weird.
That was really fun. I think,
but it was fun,
It was lots of fun.
right?
You
You
know.
got to see how I got to see how you teach,
Mm-hmm.
and you get to see how my idiosyncrasies work, and there's got to be, we could meet in the middle type of thing where I may be too extreme sometimes, but into the maker movement type of thing. But you are definitely into the classroom. You know how to hold a classroom really well, and we just meet in the middle how to mesh that together, have good balance.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
and you called me the strict one, the mean one.
I saw it come out.
That's
people,
how I do.
people.
Okay.
I saw her meanness. Mrs. Joravada got mean, and I'm like, oh cripes. I've been saying cripes.
What's your favorite
by the way.
word, Fred?
For some
What
reason, the
is
past
that?
24 hours, I've been saying, oh cripes. I don't know.
Usually it's a 4-letter word. I'm surprised you kind of went kind of
Love.
appropriate. Oh, love. Okay.
But anyway. But yeah, so that was interesting. If you guys, any listeners out there who teach with your spouse, let us know.
Yeah,
How it
give us
goes.
your story.
Yeah, listen, I'm interested in that
Mhm.
also, because that's gonna be a weird situation, but it could be fun also.
It was fun. I hope we can do that again next summer or another
Yeah.
opportunity.
Mhm. And then we'll just grow and learn more from each other,
Mm-hmm.
right? So give a shout out again to Ed, Connie, John, Brandy, and Keith, and Stan. Thank you guys for making this a great experience, for setting this all
Yeah,
up.
and our kids loved it. They had a good time, and they got to learn about the STEM part, of course, music and sports. So we're very lucky. But guys, check out their website, Take One Academy,
.org.
and it's number 1,
Number one.
TAKE number 1 academy.org.
And we're on
Okay.
there. The pictures over there were cool.
Mm-hmm. And their sports camp, their sports on the weekends called Take One Sports.
Right.
Yeah. So
Okay. All right. So again, share this show, subscribe to the show, and leave an honest rating and review for us, please. That really helps us. Please. All right, please.
please.
All right, guys. Take care.
Bye.
Peace.
Thank you for listening to the Teaching Bites podcast at www.teachingbites.com.